People don't buy products. Most businesses believe customers carefully compare features, specifications, and prices before making a decision. But the human brain rarely works that way. Instead of analyzing every detail logically, people often rely on emotional signals that help them decide quickly. They buy trust. Trust is the invisible force that simplifies decision-making. When people trust a brand, the decision suddenly feels easier and safer. Without trust, even a great product can feel like a risk. Buying is emotional. Neuroscience research has shown that emotions guide most of our decisions before logic even enters the conversation. The brain first asks, "How do I feel about this?" and only later tries to justify the choice with reasons. This is why two similar products can produce completely different results depending on how the brand makes people feel. Trust decides the winner. When customers are faced with multiple options, they rarely spend hours comparing them. The brain quickly searches for the option that feels most reliable. The brand that signals trust usually becomes the brand that wins. Let's understand why. To understand this behavior, we need to look at how the brain processes uncertainty. Humans evolved to detect danger and avoid unnecessary risk. And every purchase, even a small one, carries a level of uncertainty. The brain avoids risk. When someone considers buying something, the brain immediately evaluates the potential risk. Will the product work? Will the company deliver what it promises? If the brain senses too much uncertainty, it hesitates. Trust feels safe. Trust sends the opposite signal. It tells the brain that the brand is reliable and predictable. When something feels predictable, the brain relaxes and becomes more open to action. Safety drives choice. When several options are available, the brain naturally chooses the one that appears safest. This doesn't necessarily mean the most advanced or cheapest product wins. Often it means the brand that feels most trustworthy wins. Signals create trust. Trust is not created by simply saying "trust us." It emerges from signals such as clarity, professionalism, consistency, and confidence. These signals quietly tell the brain that the brand knows what it is doing. Consistency builds safety. When a brand repeatedly communicates the same identity and message, the brain begins to recognize it quickly. Recognition creates familiarity. And familiarity makes the brand feel stable. Familiarity feels reliable. The human brain has a strong preference for familiar things. Psychologists call this the mere exposure effect. The more often we encounter something, the more comfortable we feel with it. Repetition builds memory. Every time a brand appears with the same signals, the brain strengthens its memory connection. Over time, that memory becomes easier to access. This is how brands move from being seen to being remembered. Memory builds trust. When people remember a brand clearly, it no longer feels like a stranger. It becomes something the brain recognizes instantly. And recognition reduces uncertainty. Trust reduces fear. Fear is one of the biggest barriers in buying decisions. People worry about wasting money or choosing the wrong option. Trust removes much of that hesitation. Confidence drives action. Once the brain feels confident in a brand, the decision becomes simple. The customer no longer feels the need to search endlessly for alternatives. Confidence turns attention into action. Weak brands feel risky. Brands that fail to communicate clear signals often appear uncertain. The audience struggles to understand what the brand stands for. When something feels unclear, the brain interprets it as risk. Confusion creates doubt. If a brand's message changes constantly or lacks a clear identity, people hesitate. The brain dislikes confusion because it requires extra mental effort to understand. And when understanding becomes difficult, trust disappears. Doubt stops sales. Even small doubts can slow down a decision. Customers may like the product but still postpone buying it. In many cases, doubt pushes them to choose another brand that feels safer. Invisible brands lose. Some brands work extremely hard but still feel invisible in the market. The problem is rarely effort or creativity. It is usually the absence of strong trust signals. Chaos breaks trust. When visuals, messaging, and positioning feel disconnected, the brand appears unstable. Instability creates uncertainty in the mind of the audience. And uncertainty weakens confidence. Define your brand. Strong brands begin with clarity. They know exactly what they represent and what problem they solve. That clarity shapes every piece of communication. Create recognition. Recognition is built through repetition and consistency. Colors, tone, visuals, and messaging should reinforce the same identity again and again. Over time, recognition becomes automatic. Recognition builds trust. When people instantly recognize a brand, they feel more comfortable interacting with it. The brain prefers what it already understands. Familiar signals reduce the mental effort required to make a decision. Trust builds sales. When trust exists, buying becomes easier and faster. Customers feel confident that the brand will deliver what it promises. Trust transforms curiosity into commitment. Lead with clarity. Clear brands guide the audience instead of confusing them. Their message is simple, structured, and easy to understand. Clarity strengthens credibility. Strong brands feel safe. When a brand consistently delivers predictable signals, it creates emotional security. Customers begin to feel comfortable relying on it. That sense of safety strengthens loyalty. Safety builds loyalty. Loyal customers return repeatedly and recommend the brand to others. Over time, loyalty becomes one of the most powerful growth engines a business can have. Trust turns customers into advocates. Loyalty builds growth. Growth is not only about attracting new customers, it is about building relationships that last. Loyal customers create momentum that compounds over time. Stop selling products. Products alone rarely create long-term influence. Features can be copied and prices can change. But trust is much harder for competitors to replicate. Start building trust. The brands that win focus on building trust before pushing for sales. They design experiences that feel clear, consistent, and reliable. And when trust becomes the foundation, growth follows naturally. If you want to understand the psychology behind branding, marketing, and human decision-making, follow this channel for more insights. Subscribe if you want to build brands that people actually trust, remember, and choose. Sivra. Make it click. Make it run.